Good morning. It's Friday, the 30th of April, and we thought we'd be outside this morning. It's a beautiful morning, frosty again, and a number of people have mentioned that they haven't seen the dogs for a while, so we thought we'd bring them out, and they're happy at the moment. I think they'll probably head off in a minute. There's far more interesting things to explore in the garden.
They'll disappear
So
quite
disappear.
quickly, and you may hear some background noise. There's some work going on at the moment on the Palace Gardens, which has been part of the restoration work, also connected to the Leaves project. So that may suddenly get a little bit closer during our reading today. We're beginning the first of the Psalms of Ascent again this morning. So Psalm 120, if you're following through, and this is a beautiful series of psalms and really beautiful poetry, but also take us on a journey with the pilgrims who would have made that first journey to Jerusalem. That's when the Psalms were almost certainly first recited and written, but of course they now belong to all pilgrim people, to the people who are walking in the way of Jesus. This first one, though, there's a real sort of a backdrop of homesickness, because clearly the pilgrim is a long way from Jerusalem and just longing through the midst of all the struggles they're facing. They're just longing for home. So we're going to read Psalm 120.
I call on the Lord in my distress, and he answers me. Save me, Lord, from lying lips and from deceitful tongues. What will he do to you, and what more besides, you deceitful tongue? He will punish you with a warrior's sharp arrows, with burning coals from the broom bush.
Woe to me that I dwell in Meshech, that I live among the tents of Kedar. Too long have I lived among those who hate peace. I am for peace, but when I speak, they are for war.
And when it comes to this longing for home, which is the backdrop, as Paul said in this psalm, we were saying how most of us have experienced homesickness, a homesickness feeling, some point in our lives, and it can be a blessing if we have memories of a particular childhood home which feels safe and happy. Though the challenge is that when we sometimes idolise those homes, in a way that's more about projecting our present restlessness onto a memory of the past, that we just need to be mindful of that when we're looking back.
Yeah, and for me, and as you say, most of us will have a home or a place that maybe evokes particular happy memories at some point in the past. For me, there's a home. I was only probably, I think I moved from this home when I was 7, but I've got so many early happy memories attached to this home in Minehead, in West Somerset, and there are all sorts of reasons for that. But I'll often sort of feel, when I sort of feel that sort of longing for home, and particularly when I'm a long way away, I kind of always think of some of the walks we used to go on and some of the sort of special places in and around Minehead and that part of West Somerset. And the thing is, I don't think the Bible isn't saying that we shouldn't have a longing for home in this life, and we shouldn't try to create a home. That's a really good and godly thing to do, but it's really saying that longing that we sometimes have for home, it will never be fully satisfied in this life, and we shouldn't therefore pin our hopes on a home in this life or try and retain the perfect home, but to long for our hearts to be fully at home with God. And I loved, and we were thinking about this last night, and it sort of prompted some thoughts about a C.S. Lewis quote, where C.S. Lewis says, "If we find ourselves with a desire that nothing in this world can satisfy, the most probable explanation is that we were made for another world." And I think there's something about that in this longing for home.
We were also talking about the the saying, "Home is where the heart is," which I quite like, because as Christians, our home is less about the place and more about a person, which is why putting our hope in Jesus and keeping him at the centre of our home life, whatever that form it takes, is really important, and it helps us remember that our deepest longing for home will only be fully satisfied, fully met when we're in Jesus' presence, and that's so important to keep that in mind, and
that's a lovely
in our hearts.
That it's where the heart is, and it's what perhaps brings that the foretaste of that heavenly home into the present, even if where we may be living or the place we're in at the moment feels a lot more like the pilgrim in Psalm 120, where we feel in a very alien and disorientating place, that we can still experience something of that being at home with God, because of the future hope coming into the present. And we're going to have a song again this morning. Thank you to Neil, thank you to Joanne, who are leading this for us. And it's a beautiful song that just turns our focus again onto Jesus, and to recognize his presence with us in this moment, and that ultimately it's in him and through him that we can be truly at home. So I hope you'll enjoy the song, and may God bless you on this sort of May bank holiday weekend. Whatever you're doing, we pray that you'll know God's nearness to you.